our boys were unable to come back to the country, to their home country, but regardless, they were still honored by this song. And a lot of our leaders, who were considered leaders in many ways, were also honored by this song. And so you will hear this song as we go on. And at this time, doing the honors is the drummers headed by Victor Shore Chief, and I will get some of the other names as we go along. But now, if we will go on with the flag ceremony, could we have everybody come on over at this time for the flag ceremony? In the midst of us, we have the Honorable Governor Tom Judge. We certainly appreciate Governor Judge for taking time to be with us this morning for our flag ceremony and the beginning of our Native American Day celebration. We see Governor Judge shaking hands with some of the people that's doing the honors there.
Hi, guys.
The boy that is doing the honors at this time in the uniform is Clyde Crossguns. He resides in Star School, and he is doing the honors at this time. We also have Frances Potts, World II veteran, and also Minnie England. She also served in the World War II. We also have Florence Williamson, served in the World War II. A Vietnam veteran, Tom Tailfeathers. Okay, I guess we're ready for the ceremony. Let's have the song. That was the flag song. Okay, at this time we'd like to have you move to the platform here. We are going on with the Willie Fish has just asked me to relay this message to you, because I'm deeply honored to be selected as the man to say a prayer for all of you this morning. Willie Fish is a descendant of Chief Fish Wolfrobe, and Fish Wolfrobe was a man that was a direct authority in our Indian way of religion and ceremonies. And so that gives Louis Fish every right to conduct this part of the ceremony.
Ai, que mato que não tukuna poispena. Ai, que somos assim tukuna ksugax. Ai, don't tukuna spuman ksuga pega ni knidat muikan na kidaksa patu sana ksuga ten kugak. Ai, que no te papa markapwa. Ai, que ksatuna ken Mexicana psakana que te tapa so before kan ga kustum de markaksa. Hij zei terugkomen om stoppen en ik zou peken en ik niet paardpees niet kijken. En ik niet stoot maar. Hij kan ook een kracht kwijt, te kunnen snoep, te kunnen spelen, ik zou peken en niet dat zo mooi kan. Hij kan ik zeg maar bekski kan op maar ik kan op mijn paard. Hij maar kan zien dan nog kunnen scoot dat toch zaken en ik de taap uit te pipen. Ik zat er kan de taap uit te pipen. Hij normaal toch kan knippen en ik kan Nagukatsinishkat mit hai kituaki tukunaitinwa sanam kraka kitapawai pakikipingan. Nagukumutupat ukumutahkutuksinang swapik anik nipat pisnkat nistuatmanikat. Kimatu kinanok kisikoikat. Ano nitukunitapiskipingan kanum tapoispingan. Hai jakutikutai anik taspamuksakan nikutapimakan anik nitatsmuiskan. Ai makidakapa tu sana kitukakan kukuk. Ah, kispunukin kima tu kina kitukuk.
I certainly want to thank Louis Fish for the prayer this morning. I am going to, I've been asked to change in we're going to here for the Blackfeet people as well as the Indian people throughout the state of Montana. And so at this time, I'm deeply honored to present you to that lady that did the legwork and done everything that she could to make this possible. She is now teaching for the Browning school system at Star School, and I'm deeply honored to present to you. She is a daughter of Francis Bullshoe, who you folks all know, and was a great leader for our Blackfeet people, Mrs. Joan Kennery.
Thank you so much, Chairman Wolferson. Before the governor leaves, I would certainly like to thank him from all of us for all the things that he has done. I know while I was working on the Blue Ribbon Commission, which the governor appointed me to, and working for this bill for Native American Day, I can say this, I had full support from the governor. At no time was I ever turned away from his door. If I called and asked for appointment for some strange reason, his door is always open to people. You don't have to wait a month or 2 months to go into the governor's office. It might be the next day or that afternoon, but he's very sincere, and he did help. He sent his attorneys to help many times. Because as you know, some of us are not attorneys, and we are very thankful to someone such as the governor for this. So, Governor Judge, I just want to thank you for what you did for our people. I didn't want to make too many comments this morning. I thought the most important thing possibly would be the reading, as the governor said, of the law. But I too want to thank Mr. Old Person. Where is he? Chairman Old Person. There he is. Chairman Earl Old Person, Governor of the state of Montana, who will be leaving. We do appreciate his coming. Guests, fellow Indians and friends, and also all these beautiful children. I think this law was probably designed for you because our culture is going so fast, and we do hope that you can learn something from this day and that will be carried on. Some people may wonder what inspires people such as myself to want to help and achieve events such as Native American Day. Or with parents such as Francis and Lillian Bolshu, we had the opportunity to become oriented towards success. It was my privilege to have received my Bachelor of Science degree at Northern Montana College. And at that time it was very unfavorable to be an Indian. Today it is much more favorable. It was also my privilege to have been one of the 20 persons selected across the United States to participate in a leadership training program at Arizona State University, located at Tempe, Arizona. From this program, we graduated, Mrs. Earl Old Person and myself, Butch Cabell, with our master's degrees. From that time on, Doris and myself went on to receive our principalships. We are also certified principals, as two more of my sisters, Carmen Marceau and June Tatsy. But one of the things working in the good old state of Browning, or reservation of Browning, Montana, is you have many, many people who support you. But you're going to find that there are those who do not, and sometimes they are in authority. Be careful, my Indian friends, of people like this. But just remember, there are a few like that, but there are many more who support you. So don't give up. We didn't. We won't. One of the offshoots, I suppose, the byproducts of the Blue Ribbon Commission is Native American Indian Day. And let me go back and just give just a bit of history. It was my privilege to have been nominated by the tribes of the state of Montana to the governor for an appointment. The governor then appointed me to the Commission on Post-Secondary Education, which was to review all the post-secondary units in the state of Montana. From this, I had the privilege of learning and studying, and also of meeting many, many people, influential people, people who could do something for our Indians. And one of the good things of this is Native American Day. Long have I heard our people say, why don't we have a day such as this? And you know, for some strange reason, as I said, we have been taught to be success-oriented. We said, why not? Our parents never said that we have to just sit here on the reservation doing nothing. They said, there's the world, go out and seek it. Discover what's in that world. We did. There isn't one in our family who doesn't have an education. And each of you out there can do the same. So therefore, today we are celebrating the second gathering of our people for Native American Day. Exciting, yes, history 10, 20 years from now. Let's just hope that this continues on. I did want to take the time to read the resolution today so that each and every one of you would know why we were here. I do want to thank some people And one of the persons that I think should be given some recognition is Mr. Dwight Bilodeau. I could not get the information that I had researched here. For some reason it wouldn't come to the building where I was at. So I flew to Arizona and I walked up to Mr. Bilodeau and said, hey, I really need this information. And thank you, Dwight, for getting that. I know he had Dorrance research that for me and it came on back. I'm that type of person. If you do something for the people, I'll let them know about it, one way or another. I do have to thank people like Earl Person, the council, Kenny Harwood, Bill Bostic, Doris Holperson, June Tatsy, Bill Bostic, some of these people, Jason Darrow, people from the school system, the children who all participated. If I stood here, I might be thanking people for quite a while, but thank all of you anyway for what you have done for us. The joint resolution, which is number 57, was introduced by Gary Kimball. Of course, you know Gary is an Indian himself, and when I did the research, I asked many people, and they said, let Gary introduce it. And so we asked him. He was very favorable. We worked very hard for this, but it's a reality. The joint resolution of the Senate and the House of Representatives of the state of Montana designated the fourth Friday in September of every year as Native American Day in the state of Montana, and inviting the people of the state of Montana to observe that day with appropriate ceremonies and activities. Whereas Article 10, Section 2 of the Constitution of Montana recognizes the distinct and unique cultural heritage of the American Indians and is committed in its educational goals to the preservation of their cultural integrity. And whereas the knowledge of this important history and culture is gradually being lost to citizens of the state of Montana to the detriment of Native Americans and all citizens of the state of Montana. And whereas the history and culture of Native American Indians is an integral part of the folklore and history of the nation and the state of Montana, and whereas the legislature recognizes that all Montanans have a valuable opportunity for cultural enrichment through contact with the folkways and philosophy of Native Americans, and whereas we live in a time of increasing awareness of the importance of our natural environment, it is important that we not lose the Native Americans' respect for and ability to live in harmony with the forces of nature. And whereas there is a general lack of understanding of the unique psychological background of Native American Indians, which can be understood only by sharing the views and beliefs of Native American Indians. And whereas the state of Montana contains the fourth largest Indian population of the several states of the United States, now therefore be it resolved by the Senate and the House of Representatives of the state of Montana that the governor of Montana be encouraged to designate each year the fourth Friday in September as Native American Indian Day. That the people of Montana be encouraged to participate in appropriate ceremonies and activities. That the Secretary of State and copies of this resolution be sent to the governor, to each county clerk of the state of Montana for posting in a public place, and to each newspaper published in the state for publication herein as House Joint Resolution number 57. So this is what we are celebrating today. So have a great day. You are truly worth fighting for. And I want to thank everyone who worked so hard to make this day worthy of each and every one of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Henry. We certainly appreciate those inspiring words that you have given us to start off today. And now at this time, I'd like to call on the agency superintendent, Mr. Anson Baker. Mr. Gary Kimball was unable to be here. He was selected to be our next speaker, but I'd like to present to you Mr. Anson Baker, superintendent.
Thank you, Earl. It is indeed a wonderful occasion today to be a day set aside especially in the state of Montana. As you heard the governor said, this is the first. But as I was sitting here listening to the talks, I couldn't help but focus my attention to these young students, boys and girls, sitting here on the grass. So the remarks that I want to make here today are directed to these young boys and girls. And if you wish, if I may ask, can I have your attention for a few minutes? If you have seen the program, Native American Indian Days, the theme reads the past, present, and future. As a young child, myself, going to a government school on the Blackfoot Reservation in North Dakota, I was privileged to have a mother and dad and some grandparents. And the fine qualities that these people taught me, which I feel are lacking in many respects today, is simply respect, pay attention at public gatherings like this, powwows, your school, your classwork, and listening to your elders. These to me were some of the finer qualities of our Indian ways. Simple respect, paying attention, listening, and learning. I see in our midst here some elderly people, no doubt from the nursing home. These people have endured life. Many of our elders today do not have formal education, but it's the finer qualities in a person, the character, the respect, the honesty, and loyalty. In the past few months, in our political campaigns throughout the country, people seeking public offices are saying that these are some of the things that we got to regain our country. Our Indian people had this centuries ago. We've tried to share it, but for some reason they've ignored these qualities. And today, as we sit here, take part in these ceremonies, they're celebrating the 200-year bicentennial. So I say to the parents, to the grandparents, the public leaders, let's teach these people what our forefathers taught us, that somehow we have forgotten. There'd be nothing better than to make commitments like they did years ago with a handshake, rather than some bureaucracy stacking papers stacked that high to keep a trust many times they don't keep. So I say to you, young students who are going to be our leaders in a few years from now, let's remember this, what your forefathers, your heritage brought on this earth. And it's not only respect to people, it's respect to the plants, to the trees, to the water we use. These had special meanings to our Indian leaders years ago. When they went and chopped wood, they said to that tree, I'd take you for a purpose. They didn't go over there and just break a limb. They talked to these plants, to Mother Earth, our sky, our sun. These are elements with powers that many scientists yet today are trying to determine. But our elderly people, our forefathers, knew the power in these elements. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Anson Baker, our agency superintendent, for fine comments. Now at this time, I would like to call on a young man that is seeking an office or a job that is not a very easy task to take on, but I believe that this young man is a man that has the ability and is capable of handling such a position that he is seeking for. He has worked with our tribe for many years. He is presently the director of our economic development program, and it gives me indeed a great pleasure to present to you our own candidate for the state legislature, Leo Kennery, Jr. Mr. Kennery.
Thank you very much, Earl. First of all, I would like to thank the committee for asking me to speak here this afternoon, or this morning rather. And I think it's significant that there is a day set aside for the Indian people of the state of Montana. I think more important of all is what we really should do is just think a little bit, just what are we? Just what is an Indian? Now, I know there's many definitions for an Indian as there is stars in the sky, I guess. A few examples of those. A definition we know of the Bureau of Indian Affairs is if you're 1 quart or more can be proven by ancestry, you're an Indian. And everybody knows that in the movies we're depicted as being savage, killing red men. And there are many, many more definitions of just what an Indian is. An Indian is a drunk, a lazy, no good for nothing. But some of the things that I think that this society has failed to recognize is the contributions that the Indian people have made to not only the United States, but to the world. One of them that probably is most prominent that we've always been associated with is our arts and crafts, which we are proud of it, and it is very significant. But I think we failed to realize, and some of the things that we should be proud of, and I'm sure that these children here haven't even realized it, the contributions to society such as medicine. Some of the medicines of the world that are being used right now were developed by Indian people. They used them in their early years. To this day, they're still using them. So this is a major contribution to the world that I think that it's something that we should be very, very proud of. Something to think about. The foods that we use, the corn, even tobacco, can be considered as a contribution in some way or another. However, I hope that you don't all take up smoking now just because the Indians have developed the tobacco. But these are the type of things that I would like to encourage the younger people here, because there are more of them here, that on this day is a day that maybe we should be recognized more for things that we have contributed to the world. Things that you kids should be proud of. I know in the past, and it has been probably difficult at times to be even associated as an Indian. But hopefully these days are gone. These days are gone now, I hope forever. But it's going to have to take a responsibility on the part of the younger generation to make known that I am an Indian. I am proud of it. We have made great contributions to the world. Things of this type, which I'm sure and I hope and I encourage you that you will do in the future. Again, I want to thank you for attending our meeting here this afternoon. I want to thank the committee again. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Leo Kennery Jr. He is one of our Blackfeet boys from our own reservation. And now, at this time, I want to call on another of our Blackfeet young men that have come back to work with the Blackfeet people, and I believe that he has a great responsibility dealing with, working with health. You know, whenever I always say that if we do not have the health, then we could not function as we would hope to do. And so health is number one in our life. And so that's a great responsibility. I'm deeply honored to present to you Gordon Balcourt, who is the director of our Tribal Health Department. Gordon Balcourt.
Thank you, Earl. Really appreciate those comments. I'm going to make this very brief. I got a case of the flu or something. I was thinking the other day of passing a resolution that in order to make me more aware of some of the health problems we're having on the reservation, that the tribal health director should experience some of the problems that the community is having, so I contacted a case of the flu just to see how it is. You know, I want to emphasize or just kind of repeat what Anson said here today. I think an incident that happened a couple days ago really brought this to mind. And you young people, if you would, listen to this. I wish somebody would have told me this when I was very young, too, so I can take a lot more heed of what was being said here today. A couple days ago, I lost an uncle. His name is Ellen Whitegrass. I intend to remember that name because it points out one thing to me, that people, our elders, are like a book. But the problem with our elders is that none of this is down in writing. You'll never be able to pick up or know the knowledge that Ellen Whitegrass had during his life here. He knew the songs, he knew the culture, he knew the tradition. Not only does this apply to Ellen, but it applies to all our elders. We have a building over there where many of our elders are located today. It's called a nursing home. For a variety of medical reasons, they're there. But the thing I want to point out to young people is that there's not a lot of knowledge over there. Knowledge about our culture, our history, our tradition, our past. That unless you are willing to extend yourself or go to talk to the elders, maybe your parents, maybe your grandparents, maybe an uncle, maybe an aunt or whatever, you're never going to be
for the flag song. We certainly appreciate Governor Judge for taking time to be with us this morning for our flag ceremony and the beginning of our Native American Day celebration. We see Governor Judge shaking hands with some of the people that's doing the honors there. The boy that is doing the honors at this time in the uniform is Clyde Crossguns. He resides in Star School, and he is doing the honors at this time. We also have Francis Potts, World II veteran, and also Minnie England. Also served in the World War II. We also have Florence Williamson, served in the World War II. Vietnam veteran Tom Tailfeathers. Okay, I guess we're ready for the ceremony. Let's have the song. Many of our boys were unable to come back to the country, to their home country, but regardless, they were still honored by the song. And a lot of our leaders, who were considered leaders in many ways, were also honored by the song. And so you will hear the song as we go on. And at this time, doing the honors is the drummers headed by Victor Shore Chief, and I will get some of the other names as we go along. But now, if we will go on with the flag ceremony, could we have everybody come on over at this time for the flag ceremony? In the midst of us, we have the Honorable Governor Tom Judge,